Why did Australia enter the war? Australia entered the war because they were an ally of Great Britain, and Australia is also part of the British Commonwealth. Australia's Prime Minister at the time declared war against Germany on the 3rd of September 1939, following Germany's invasion of Poland. This was officially declared on the 7th of September 1941. Australia was independent during the outbreak of World War II. At the outbreak of the war, only a little minority of the population considered it as such. It would be more accurate to describe it as a self-governing jurisdiction with the British Empire. Experiences of a soldier. Australia wasn't ready to go to this kind of war, but since they were in the British conscription law, they were obliged to actually fight in the war. The Australians on the German front launched 7 bloody attacks on the German defense over a 6-week period. They fought in the Western Front called Somme as a relief for the British troops who suffered 60,000 casualties. 1 out of every 2 Anzacs who fought in Somme became a casualty. Australia lost over more than 22,000 men. Involvement of women in the war. There were many things that the women had done to contribute to the war. One of the most important things that the women had involvement in was nursing, taking care of the soldiers that fought in the war, that were wounded, or cooking to feed the soldier that had involvement in the war. Women had also contributed on the battlefield. They helped pass water to the soldiers. In camps, they were laundresses, seamstresses, and companions to the soldiers. Women were stationed in forts and garrisons as servants in high-ranking officers' houses. Impact of war in the home front. Since the outbreak of the war occurred in August of 1914, it seemed to have unleashed a mass amount of enthusiasm of support in Britain and support in Australia's part in the war. There were a lot of people in recruiting offices so they can fight in defense for their home front. The whole country has seemed to be supportive of it. During World War II, at the outbreak of this war, they were more prepared and more energized to fight the Japanese when the Japs attacked them on Australia's mainland. This happening made a huge mark on Australia. This also has made Australia have more reasons to fight. The issue of conscription. In 1916, Prime Minister Billy Hughes proposed to raise the numbers that were needed to maintain Australian troops at full strength at the front by conscripting the people who were unwilling to fight in World War I. It already had the ability to conscript men under the existing provisions of the Defensive Act, but only for the service in Australia, so they weren't allowed to send them overseas to fight. Although the government already had the power to conscript, many members of the Labour government were against it. To overcome this issue, in 1916 of October, Hughes decided to hold a national vote on the issue. This vote is also known as a referendum and sometimes a plebiscite. A referendum is a vote to change the Constitution. In December 1917, Hughes held another plebiscite on the same issue, though again conscription was defeated, this time by a slightly larger margin.